in this one. Back at the designated service point after 180 k's, there was sunshine, and not just weather-wise. It was a sunshiny day for Alfie Cox and Henny Testege, who got there first. They were closely followed by Brandon Harkis, who nailed some big ones on the way in.
Yeah, and I started 8th this morning, and before that time trial route was 40 k's, I was in front. I was really pushing hard this morning, and it just got a little bit too wet out there, and I'm struggling a little bit. The rear mount car's a little bit like a pendulum at the back, but I've been having a great race with Alfie. When I was in front, he was able to stick with me, and then when he got past, he was very good in the very thick water sections. And then, like I say, when he was in front, and they found the road, then they don't find the road, and then we got back in front, and then, you know, just coming into the stadium section was really confusing here, and he pipped me right in to get in there. But I think the next 180 k's is going to be really tough, because I'm not going to back off, and neither is he. So, but in bearing in mind, we have to keep a 1-2 for motor out, so it's going to be a great lap.
All for one and one for all in the motorride camp. For the Duplessis, there was a rather wind-up park manoeuvre at the end of lap 1. While Berthold and Houghton made Toyota Heightspeed custard with their showing in 4th place after starting 14th. A big leap up the overall standings, and also leading the production cars after the first loop. Berthold was one very happy camper.
Past the Ford now on the way in here, having a very good race with him. Navigator's very good. Saw the distance broke. It was huge ditches. It was called triple caution, both them, bang bang. So we're quite happy, and Toyota's strong. And my factory's building this car right. So they've done a good job. Just want to finish now, doesn't matter where.
In the Ford camp, there were a few small repair jobs to be done, and then, of course, the all-important job of pumping the juice. Woolridge was battling with the H2O.
First 40 k's was wet, but not too bad, and then we've just been through a thunderstorm that just made it almost impossible. It's like an ice rink. You just battle even just to keep the car in a straight line, all the way right through till about 20 kilometers from the end, where it's suddenly dry again. So very, very difficult to keep the car in a straight line and just make sure everything's right. But no problem. We had a puncture this morning. I don't know. I think a wheel just debeaded or something like that. But yeah, otherwise no problems.
For Terence Marsh, it was a nightmare on wet street.
Trying. Treacherous conditions. It's an absolute nightmare out there. But a lap to go. We'll just have to keep trying. But it's getting worse. It's not getting better. That's the worst thing. It's dry, yeah, but out in the route, it's ridiculous.
While drivers wet to the bone and as dirty to boot were looking to dry off, others were trying to limit the damage. Hutchison was almost lost for words.
Yeah, horrendous. It's pouring with rain. There's some sections we couldn't get through. Our fan belt tensioner broke off this morning, so we had to jump out and try and fix that. We managed to get going, but we must have lost 15 or 20 minutes. So we've been battling, trying to pass cars in the rain and the mud, and yeah, it's hard work out there. It's very, very hard work. But we've got one lap to go. We're going to fight for our positions in the last lap.
And then it really came down. DSP became a veritable river, and there was hardly a dry place about. The pop group Wet would have had a fine time here. For the De Bruins, a wrong tyre choice cost them dearly.
As much as it's raining, about 10 k's from here, we're in the dust zone of Jack, and we battled to get through him, but unfortunately we've made the wrong tyre choice today, so we battled, but we'll take it a second around a lot slower and see if we can make it.
For the Century Properties Development team's Ernest Corbett and his co-driver Warwick Goosen, there wasn't a spot close enough to their dry and warm race van, and they got as close as they could. As for the self-confessed old man of the circus, he wanted to be someplace else, preferably surrounded by lots of warm water.
Now this is what you call an obstacle course of immense proportions. I'd actually rather be home in a hot bath right now. It's unbelievable. It's actually almost impossible. If it wasn't for my navigator telling me to go on, I might have stopped.
And the flats on the back of Brian Martin's Toyota told you another story. It was tough.
Very, very wet and sloshy. Very rough and stages. Very rocky. A lot of rocks hidden under the water and the mud. Got 3 punches in this last section here. And we only had 2 spares. So we drove the last 40 on a flat wheel. But we're here and we're putting new tyres on and we're going to go give it another bash, eh?
And that right there is the indomitable spirit of the off-road racer. Down, but certainly not out. For Shamir Varayawa, it was way too wet.
Yeah, look, the morning was quite nice, and then when it started to rain out in the mountains, it just got very, very wet. And in fact now, what's more showers, I think I won't be surprised if a bucky comes in first, because with the Sandmaster we just couldn't get traction. Battling the whole time, don't know where you're going. So conditions out there are tough, very tough.
And getting tougher with every extra drop. Gary Berthold even felt that it was dangerous.
Yeah, very treacherous, a lot of mud. It was dangerous driving. Great race out there. We were all having a good time together. Unfortunately, the main alternator and water pump belt jumped off, and we couldn't get it back on. You have to strip the whole car to get it in because it's a mid-mount. But very treacherous event, well marked. Unfortunate result for us.
Vehicle and asset finance from ABSA. Overcoming all obstacles. Finance from ABSA. Going the